Already getting some good feedback about the posts. Couple of things. One was somebody immediately came out and was like, this brand is cheaper. If you think that brand is cheaper, go get it. I want to offer something that is not available on the market. And I want to offer it at a competitive price. If you're looking to skim pricing down from me, you're looking in the wrong direction. There's a much bigger opportunity here. And I've already had a couple people hit me up because they've seen my work over the years and they see what I can do. One thing is important to remember, that this motor outperforms the JL Audio 13W7, which is JL's top motor, okay? And they sell it for $1,800. This motor is going to be blank. No badging. Zero. None. So the branding is up to you for resales. We have a couple of guys that are doing the 10-piece, which is what I recommend just to start with. That's $1,500 just for the motors. And then they're going to come back later. And this is how I run things, because I don't know what the public wants. I don't know what each client is different. And so they may want something. Now, is it easier for me if I have stuff on the shelf? Of course. And I just go, yep, here you go. So, and that's part of my inventory management system and things like that. But typically I just leave the motors alone until somebody comes and approaches me and says, hey, I'm looking for this. And to me, that seems the best way to operate, because otherwise you're always buying something that isn't quite what you want. But at the time you're like, oh, these are good enough, and it doesn't matter what the brand is. So I encourage you to think about this as for lack of a better word, a business, a way for you to escape the hold of the matrix, right? The system that has you going to a stupid job that you hate every day and getting you to do more stuff. And it's not necessarily to do audio stuff because it's fun. The reward that I found, because that's what I was chasing at first, the real reward is giving people what they really want and giving something that is valuable. One of the biggest things I ran into starting out, and I told everybody to do this, but it was difficult to find, which was that when I started out, I would find a product, and it didn't matter if it was an amplifier or a sub or something like that, but I wanted to buy it at a certain price, keep it for 6 months to a year, so I got to use it for free, and then I sold it either for what I got it for or even a profit. Even if it was a small profit, I got the use of the equipment for free. That's the starting idea. What I think the world needs and wants is collaboration about maker products. And that's really what I want to see audio get into, is what cool things can we all make at home? And again, what happens is when somebody makes stuff at home and they make a little bit of cash, it ups their chances of escaping that dreaded life of working for the machine. Do you understand? So there's a bigger picture that's going on here. If you're just trying to shave pennies, go shave pennies elsewhere. This is not for you, and that's okay. So it was funny. Somebody who I'm building something custom for, he discovered I think it was the official Sundown group, where somebody posted up it was a hammered brown frame, which is unusual, but it was like a root beer color. I thought it was kind of cool. And I think I used a Sundown U motor, and it had the boot on it, and a bunch of people criticized it, and then of course start personally attacking me, and of course I'm banned from that group, not for any good reason other than that I poke fun at companies that take themselves too serious. Hang on. So I had to calm down there for a second. I'm learning more about PTSD and learning about how I manage mine. And it doesn't help that I'm bipolar. So sometimes if I don't sleep well or if I don't eat well, and I'm also diabetic. So I got several problems that sometimes tend to make me a little more emotional. So I was threatened these last couple of days over a negative review. I'll just say that. And I don't like to think about it, but for some people, this is their whole life. And they've put all their eggs in one basket. And they don't want to be my friend. They find me as the enemy, and I pity the fool. All right. Because I think there's something bigger here that everybody's missing. And it gets into a weird space where people that are, I will say, wealthy, sometimes they're not mature when they achieve their success. And so they use children's methods of bullying, just like schoolyard bullying and manipulation in order to come out on top. And then they go home to their wife and kids, or boyfriend, whatever. I'm not here to judge. And they're a hero, right? Because they brought home dinner. And so sometimes people take what I say and feel threatened by it. And I don't want to threaten anybody. You're missing the whole point of Robot. You're missing the whole point of worshiping our Lord Gonzo. Because again, Gonzo doesn't want your worship. He wants you to empower yourself. And that's what I'm here to help you do. So the larger point that I'm trying to make here is that what if this was a creator community? What if we worked with equipment that we found in the market that was the best, that served several purposes all at once, like this frame that Scott Atwell, and I give credit to him because he had the balls and the cash to put his money where his mouth is, and he created a great product. And best of all, he made it available to everybody because he sees the bigger picture, which is that people are going to get stuff out of China whether you like it or not. That's the problem with dealing with China. Okay? So nothing is really proprietary. And I showed that to a lot of people after the TC Sounds bankruptcy, which was that there was a lot of product on the market that there's nothing you can do. And one of the other things I showed was that you can take parts from other subwoofers, whether it be Sundown, whether it be JL Audio, whether it be Rockford Fosgate, and you can mash them together, and you can call it Frankenwoofer, which I think it's trying to be a disparaging term, but to me it's a compliment, and still make it work and still make bass. And again, the whole idea of Robot is to have fun with this and to empower you to not have to go to a shitty job that you hate, to work towards something that you love, and you find creativity and you find your sense of purpose. And typically what I've seen is that our senses of purpose align with helping other people. So how do you do that without the machine getting mad at you, right? And so that's why I want to do this project small. Let's start small, see how we go. Okay? We don't have to take over the universe, but we can make a product that is modular and functional and doesn't step on anybody's intellectual property, right? Like making a clone of something, even though that's not illegal. It's a lot of people don't like it, but again, these things exist in nature and you can create them. So there's no reason why you can't. You got to understand what real IP is. Real IP is patents and trademarks. And as long as you're not using those, you're fine. So now if somebody goes on an internet forum and starts talking about, oh, this is, so-and-so is rolling around in their grave, because of your work. And I'm like, oh, good Lord, get over yourself. This is open source stuff. All I'm doing is assembling it and making it available to everyone. Does that make sense? I don't want to gatekeep. I don't want to make anything proprietary. I want everything to be open source. I want everything to be a creator community so that we can collaborate and listen. ICE is back with a brand new invention. It's the idea though is to bring the community together so that we can lower the price on these and also create inventive, creative products that the corporation doesn't own. So I watched a video the other day on solar punk, and if you don't know about that, Google that. But it's sort of one of those things where it's a great idea until corporations come in and try to start making money on it. And it's like, you're missing the point. And so I kind of see that with audio, in that I feel like music, and especially theatrical experiences, when I should say cinematic film experiences, again, the idea is storytelling, movies, can take you to another world, can transport you. And music can do that as well, especially when it's very physically, I don't want to say violent, but definitely in sync with your body, and it's physically moving your body. It's a very sacred and emotional thing for many people. I want to make the price of that as cheap as possible, but I don't have any money. And so you have to have this balance of what is affordable, what is not. And so I put the line in the sand. And as a reminder, we're doing, I think, $200 per motor, shipped to any state in the lower 48. And that's from 1 to 3 units is $200. From 4 to 9 units, that's $175 shipped. Now, when all this is over, and then of course 10 pieces and over, that means you're serious. That means you're either running your own brand, which is what this is good for, is launching your own brand. Especially if you're investing in, let's say, under $4,000. That is really tough to beat, because again, if this product is just, let's say it's just on par with the 13W7, even though the coil is smaller. Again, we'll get into that later. But let's say it's just on par. Even if you cut into the market 10 to 15%, you're still making a huge markup, right? Because the whole unit only costs you $375. And so if you're selling this whole unit, let's say for $1,000, and you put a 10-year warranty on it, now you're offering something that nobody else is offering. And you get to keep me your secret, and we're friends now. Because I'm helping you make money. I'm helping you establish your brand. I'm helping you get quality, as American equipment as possible, while utilizing China as the base manufacturer. But, China has difficulty creating really unique products. They don't have the creativity. They know how to fight. And it can be through commerce. They know how to do that. And they know how to weaponize things. Let's try not to weaponize music and film and audio. Okay. So hang on real quick. There's one other thing I wanted to cover. Oh, the Neo. Let me flip this over real quick. Okay, one of the things that's unique about this system is that we don't put any, you can if you want to put like threaded Teflon tape or something on the bolts just to keep them from wiggling out, but typically they don't wiggle out. Another good way is a lock washer, something like that, whether it's a star or a split washer, either one is fine. But so this just comes right off like that. We don't glue it to the top of the top plate. We don't do that. So, because again, I want you to have years and years, decades of use out of this. I want this thing to be remodeled after 30 years. Okay. So, one of the things that I noticed about the Sundown design, and also the DD design of supercharging the top of the pole piece, is that they require bolts. Or at least that's what they want, because they don't want this thing coming off or shifting because it got hot and the glue failed or whatever, and I understand that. What's great about this system is that the top assembly is removable. So what we're going to do on the version 2 is I'm going to put 4 holes, maybe 6. I got to talk to them about what magnets we can get in here. And so I want it to be modular, so that if you want to add the supercharge later, and you can hear the differences, you can add the supercharge. Now, I did have another idea, but I don't think it's going to work out for this particular project, but I wanted to show you. So this is the Wet Sounds XBL motor that was used on their, I think their 6.5 and their 8-inch, maybe some of their 10-inch mids that we got from the Dyer closeout back in 2007. I still have these. So what's great is the OD on this is about 76 millimeters. So it's a little too big to put on top of the pole. But the idea, though, is that you should be able to take something like this that already has a steel top and bottom plate, or even just a steel top plate. You want to have a top and bottom plate because Neo is kind of brittle. And so sometimes it fractures real easy. And then if it's charged, it freaks out. And there's a video on that on somebody assembling the, I think it's the ZV6 Sundown motors, and you see it do it. So I'm gonna pause this real quick and see if I can get it on the top of this. I don't want to lose a finger on the camera. So, okay. So I can already tell this is not going to work, and I'm going to have difficulty getting this off later. So, but the idea here was that, and again, sometimes it just takes an inspiration to figure this out. If we went with a slightly larger pole, right, like a 3.3 inch coil or something like that, and made that universal, that would help. But basically, all Supercharge is putting this on there. But I'm going to do a modular system where we do 4 bolts on top, and then if you want to add it later, you can add it later. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to make it available right away because that's just too much to put on the table, and not everybody wants Supercharge. Not everybody sees value in Supercharge. Does that make sense? I don't find value in Supercharge, but if you do, I want to make that available. Again, I want you guys to experiment with real life stuff, and it's great to have a motor that's modular that you can take the top off to go, okay, what's my system going to sound like when the top assembly is made for SPL, right? And you can unbolt it in 5 minutes, put it back on, put the new one on, and try it. Does that make sense? I also want it to be a universal size so that the top assemblies are interchangeable with, say, Sundown products or TC Sounds or digital design. Some digital designs, they make their stuff proprietary because they're piggies. Anybody that wants to make their stuff proprietary is thinking about themselves and thinking about how much money they can hog away. And I don't want that. I want everything to be open, but stuff still costs money. So again, if you're shaving pennies, this is not the place for you. I recommend learning how to rebuild subwoofers so you can get subwoofers for free, dead ones. And then you can bring them back to life and make your own abominations that Sundown fangirls will, complain about. Anyways, but that's what I wanted to talk about. It's just going to have the 4 drilled and tapped holes on top of the pole. And then later on, we'll discuss different options. If you want to use it just for a cooling puck or some sort of other heat sink, you can do that. So I actually want to integrate a heat sink and a Neo puck. But again, that requires more money. It may require tooling costs. You never know with China. So that's why it's important to work the bugs out. I've already worked the bugs out with this motor. I'm making very small changes that shouldn't really cost us anything more, maybe like $1 more. I think that's worth it. And then we're going to move on to the bigger stuff. So GONZO stepdad and GONZO Sr. and all kinds of other stuff. Okay, guys? I love you. Keep your questions coming. I really appreciate the feedback. And thank you for your support.